Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Sasha Live podcast. It is Tuesday, January 25th at Mad Mushroom in West Lafayette. I'm obviously not Tom Brew. We're working with one laptop today, so I'll keep popping in as often as I can. Tom Brew's out on assignment, but he is watching from home tonight. I'm Haley Jordan, joined by guard Sasha Stefanovic for episode 11 of the Sasha Live podcast. You're getting pretty used to this. It's your 11th go around, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's been fun so far, and hopefully it'll be getting better.
Absolutely. Well, you guys had a tough pair of road games in Illinois and Indiana. I know you and Tom already talked about the double overtime win over the Fighting Illini, right? But we have to get to Indiana. We're going to kind of rehash that. So you and the Purdue squad headed to Simon Scott Assembly Hall to face your Hoosier foes. Lost 68-65. Such a close game. Now, a couple interesting nuggets that I found earlier. Indiana snapped Purdue's 9-game winning streak. Okay, longest streak the Boilermakers had in the series in almost 90 years. Do you know that stat?
Yeah. We're we were familiar with it obviously going into it, but I said before that I think they're a great team. They have a lot of talent on their roster, and some guys on their team really stepped up and hit some big shots. And the environment was great. They had a great fan base, show up for that game. And it was just a tough game for us where we didn't really, we didn't play very well. And, we were still in the game and felt like we should have really came out with a win. But it is what it is. You just learn from those experiences and, move forward.
It was so close. When Trace Jackson Davis made those final 2 free throws and the clock was about to expire, you probably figured that at that point it was about to be over. What was going through your head after you played a hard 34 minutes and you knew, oh my goodness, Indiana's going to beat us?
It's just one of those things that, in the moment, Jaden Ivey had a good look at the end for a 3 to tie it. And unfortunately, that didn't go in. And then, there's just, you look back on it, there's a lot of opportunities that you wish you could have, taken advantage of. And there's a lot of plays that, run back in your mind that you wish you had back. But that's the nature of basketball. Obviously they're our rival and they play great. And, I don't think we played as great as we could have. And, it's just one of those tough games that, you wish you kind of had back.
Mm-hmm. Before we dig into all the stats and really break down the game, I wanted to ask you about the fans. There were over 17,000 fans there. A lot of those were Hoosier fans, right? I know there were some Boilermakers sprinkled out in the crowd, but was it difficult to play in front of a crowd where everybody's against you? I know you're used to this because you're a veteran in the team, but how difficult was that?
It's just tough in general. I'm playing on the road in the Big Ten. It's always going to be a tough game no matter what, but their fans are obviously more into it in that game, and they're, they say a lot of things that you hear and whatever it may be, but it's just one of those things that you got to focus on your job at hand and not worry about the external factors that are in the crowd or whatever it may be. But no, they really showed up. Obviously, that place is always loud and crazy every time that they play, so it's a great test for us to what's upcoming for us.
I'm sure you're so used to that. Travion Williams is used to that. How about the younger guys that aren't quite used to that Big Ten atmosphere? Is it something that you have to guide them through when the crowd's that wild, especially in a rivalry game?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just, not being familiar in that situation. We played on the road and some different places, but nothing really compares to that game and what you're going to experience. So a lot of our guys have played IU before, but that COVID year with no fans,
right.
It's definitely different. So getting their first real taste of playing IU away was, it's a learning experience. Like I said, you just take away things from that game that now moving forward in the future, you know what to expect, and our young guys are very mature and they get that and they understand now that we just got to be better on the road in those situations, especially at their place.
Mm-hmm. And you're used to Trace Jackson Davis. You've played against him a number of times. He's the staple of Indiana's roster, one of the best players on the team. When you got word that he was going to be iffy, he was kind of struggling with that tailbone injury. Who did you think on Indiana's roster was going to step up and kind of take over for Jackson Davis?
I'm not really sure. They had, like I said, they have a lot of great players on the roster, and they did a good job within this last, off season of adding talent, adding transfers to their team, and a lot of their guys that were there the year before really stepped up and got better and got more skilled and talented and really worked on their game. So, with their roster, any one of their guys could really step up. So, I mean, with their veterans, like Race Thompson, Rob Finney played great. A lot of their transfers, whether it's Miller Kopp or Parker Stewart or Xavier Johnson, whoever it really may be, they all stepped up in a certain way, and they played good, and they were able to make some shots and get stops, and ultimately that helped them get the win.
Yeah, certainly was their bench's time to shine, I would say, in that game. Well, Purdue started off with a 7-0 run over Indiana, so things started off pretty hot. When did that start to shift for you, allowing Indiana to catch up and close that gap?
Yeah, I think it was when we got up 16-8 in the game. I think we struggle sometimes, and when we get leads, we kind of let our foot off the gas and try to do things that didn't get us to that point, and we either do our own thing or try to do things that doesn't get us wins necessarily. And I think once we hit that lead right there, we kind of stopped getting stops. We started making some fouls, made turnovers or took bad shots or whatever it may be. I think it really gave them momentum, and they were able to make some shots and close the gap. And then, it's going to be a tough game from there. So
sometimes it's like a snowball effect. I feel like one bad thing can happen after another. So Zach Edey, he's on every team's radar. Big man. You knew the Hoosiers would be well prepared for him, and I noticed he was getting double teamed like crazy. But you have to give Indiana credit for slowing him down. Well, I say slowing him down, but he still scored 12 points.
He's he's a dynamic player, and how big he is and how he's able to take over a game with just his size. And teams really just have to worry about him on the offensive side of the floor for us, where he draws so much attention in the post. You have to game plan around him, where you have to decide whether you're going to double or not. You got to make sure you hit him on every box out. You got to know our plays, because we want to go into him at certain situations and everything like that. But I thought he did a good job of handling their whatever they threw at him, whether it was doubles, scrapes, or whatever it may be. But they just made things physical on him. Obviously, you said he finished with 12 points. I mean, that's it's still a good game for him. But he wants to be better, and he wants to be better, and especially in those big games. So it's just a constant thing that he's always improving, always trying to get better, and teams are always going to throw the kitchen sink at him. So he's got to be he'll continue to get better as the year progresses.
I was going to say, it must be difficult to constantly be the target of double teams. Mm-hmm. Teams go in knowing he is the tallest guy in the roster, and that's going to take probably two people to slow him down. You mentioned Rob Finney, Lafayette native, came in off the bench, hit his first shot with less than 9 minutes to go in the first half. So he wasn't starting, obviously. How difficult is it to guard a player like Finney when he is really hot on the arc?
Yeah, it's just, I know Rob is a great player and what he is capable of, in this league and everything. And he hasn't just got a lot of opportunities to show it, this year in his career at IU, but he's a great player. I have a lot of respect for him, and he can really score the ball in bunches, and he really, could run a team. But, when you let a player get his head up like that and shots early, and it lets them get in a groove and get in a rhythm and just feel themselves out within the game. And, from there, he really just continued to be aggressive on the offensive side of the floor and get to the rim, make some open threes. And really just try to pick us apart in ball screen defense. And, it's tough. We had to do a better job of him early and not let him get his head up. But once he did, I thought he did a good job of just picking his spots, getting to the rim. And there's a lot of things that we need to shore up, but he did a good job of exploiting our defense.
Yeah, I don't know what he ate for breakfast. Wheaties? I don't know what he was on, but he was fantastic. He finished with 20 points. And then in the post-game press conference, he told us, I've never felt like that before playing a game. And I almost wondered if it was because he thought he might have had something to prove, being from Lafayette, playing for Indiana. There's a little bit of tension there. I was curious, since he's from around this area, if you or your teammates know him, talk to him on a more personal level other than just an opponent.
Yeah, definitely. I'm friends with Rob. We play open gyms in the summer together. Okay. We're all familiar with one another. A lot of their guys on their team as well that, whether off-season work, we're either getting in the gym or playing against each other and, like I said, random open gyms or, lifting together or whatever. I know a lot of our guys that are from the same area, whether it's from like I said, from here or Indy or, we're all very, very close. And obviously playing college basketball in the state, and being rivals like that, you just grow familiar with one another. And it's always a friendly relationship off of the floor. But when you get in that environment, you obviously want to beat one another. So he's a good guy. And like I said, I'm happy for the success that he's having. And I just wish it wasn't against us, But.
I bet many house divideds who like Indiana and Purdue would be happy to hear that you guys are friendly and even, play some ball during the summer.
Yeah.
Well, Indiana took over the lead with a little more than 5 minutes to play in the first half. Hoosiers' defense was excellent, and a couple of media predicted that their defense was going to be excellent, especially against an offense like your guys. Why do you think your team fell behind for a bit, and what caused that?
It just really comes down to like what I said. I think we go away sometimes when we have leads from the things that made us get that lead and what got us to be successful in those situations. So, whether that's not running a play right, not executing what we want on the offensive side of the floor, taking bad shots, turning the ball over, not setting screens is a big one that I think we struggled with in that game. And they were able to blow things up, make catches tough, be really physical with us on the offensive side of the floor. But they did a good job. They're obviously a great defensive team. I think they're the best defensive team in our conference. Yep. So, they clearly are talented on that side of the floor, and they were able to take things away, like I said. But just a little mixture of everything, really. Just us not executing what we really wanted to do, and then them playing good defense on top of it. So
Jaden Ivey he really came alive for Purdue in the second half, ended up with 21 points, your team's leading scorer when it was all said and done. How valuable was Ivey for all of you when other players were struggling to put down those shots in that environment?
Yeah, he just, I think he really did a good job of showing, why he's the player that he is and how talented he is, how dynamic he is, and how he could really just take over a game and why there's a lot of NBA teams that are going to want him next year. So he, and he was banged up. He was obviously a little injured, but he did a great job of just, playing through that, fighting through that adversity, and, really, really being big time for us. He really took over the game in that second half. We ran a lot of plays through him, and he was able to step up in that environment. And he played great for us. It's like I said, that was his first time also playing in that environment at Assembly with those fans. So I thought he did a great job.
Great performance for that. Yes. Yeah. You had 3 days off before Northwestern. What did Coach Painter work with the team as to improve and get kind of that redemption game after Indiana?
Yeah, it was just mostly on the defensive side of the floor. We weren't really able to turn IU over, so just trying to ratchet it up on that side of the floor and make sure that we're really engaged and focused. And when you get into the season and you have these short turnarounds for games, it becomes kind of a grind. Your body's worn down, you're really tired, you're banged up. Like I said, Jaden was a little injured, and we had a couple guys that weren't feeling the best with their bodies. And from that preparation, it's more of a mental aspect where you need to make sure that you know what's going all around, their defensive, our defensive assignment and what they want to do offensively and what we want to do offensively and everything that comes along with that, scouting reports and player personnel and all that stuff. That it's really important for us to just mentally lock in, focus, concentrate, and that's what's really going to help us. And I thought, going into that game, I thought we did a good job of that.
It feels quick, even as a fan, even in the media. That turnaround is very quick, so I can imagine it feels even faster for you guys, especially once it gets into the Big Ten. Well, we are going to wrap up that conversation now, and we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to recap the Purdue-Northwestern game. So we'll catch you guys in a little bit.
Basketball season is here, and at Mad Mushroom, we've got Sasha's Special, a medium premium pizza, medium cheese pizza, and medium cheese sticks, all for $33.33. That's a medium pizza. Sasha for $3.
It's good.
And then there's a cheese pizza from the top of the key. Sasha for $3.
It's good.
And those cheese sticks at Mad Mushroom. Sasha from the corner for $3.
It's really good.
Order online at madmushroom.com where you can get Sasha's Special. We'll see you every week on BoilerMakersCountry.com for the Sasha Live podcast, live from Mad Mushroom Pizza at USA Muffler and Brakes is a proud sponsor of the Sasha Live podcast on BoilerMakersCountry.com. They're a full-service muffler and brakes auto repair shop, but also do exhaust, suspension, shocks, struts, alignment, engine diagnostics, tune-ups, and transmission work as well. They have 3 locations in Northwest Indiana at 2300 West 81st Street in Maryville and also at 5960 Broadway in Maryville, with a Portage location at 5853 US Highway 6. USA Muffler and Brakes, proud sponsor of the Sasha Live podcast. Freight Management Logistics is an asset-based common carrier offering flatbed truck services throughout the continental United States, Canada, and Mexico. We're also a proud sponsor of the Sasha Live podcast and very proud of all the work that Sasha Stefanovic does for the Purdue basketball team. We are looking for full-time owner operators and drivers right now with full benefits, the best pay in the business with regional, local, and over-the-road routes. Contact Freight Management Logistics at
All of a sudden I found myself really feeling a physical release from what I was doing and from the activity, and so I threw the rocks harder and I threw them further, and by the time I was finished, I felt sort of a renewed sense of self, I think, or of maybe just peace in my heart and in my body that I hadn't had for a pretty long time. And so it ended up being a really therapeutic experience that I just wasn't anticipating.
Welcome back to the Sasha Live podcast, live here at Mad Mushroom in West Lafayette. Haley Jordan here with guard Sasha Stefanovic. All right, Sasha, we've recapped Indiana, Purdue, and now let's take it over to higher grounds, Purdue Northwestern, okay? So now with this game, it presents a new challenge because Ivy was out with a hip flexor injury, right? But you get to return home to play at Mackey Arena where you're most comfortable. Brandon Newman got the start, and he probably didn't play as well as he would have liked to. Didn't put down as many shots as he would like to, but he earned that start for a reason. How have you seen him grow from last season to this season? I mean, he's no stranger to starting for Purdue.
Yeah, he's it's just been a different situation for him going from his year last year to this year where he hasn't been playing as many minutes, but he's been struggling with the shot recently. But he has a different dynamic for us where he always has that ability to shoot the ball. He's a really good playmaker where he's able to create his own shot and make plays for others. But defensively, he's a great defender as well, and he brings us a lot of energy on that side of the floor. So. Just getting himself into a rhythm, getting himself into games where he feels more comfortable, try to see shots go in the basket and just gain that momentum on the floor that, he needs. But Coach Painter obviously really trusts him, obviously put him in that position to start the game last game. And, he's, like you said, he's been in that role before. So, we all believe in him and know his talents and what he could do. It's just, like I said, just getting that momentum back on the floor and getting back into the rhythm of the game for him.
This may seem like an obvious answer because Newman obviously got the start, but when Painter heard Ivy was going to be out, how did Coach Painter adjust that game plan? Was it always Newman who was going to start, or was it between a few guys?
He probably could have gone with a handful of different lineups that he really wanted to, but I don't even think Coach Painter knew that Jaden wasn't playing until warm-ups.
Yeah, pretty last minute.
So he was very, unsure. So nothing really changes on our side of the floor. It's just, people have to step up into that role and, be ready to play and gain some extra minutes. It's extra opportunities for some guys that, maybe your minutes are low or you're not getting as many opportunities. It's a new challenge for you to step up into that role and earn more minutes, earn more opportunities. And I thought some guys really did that and they played really well.
I think it's such a luxury too that the depth on your bench is so deep that Coach Painter is able to point to somebody and say, I trust you. And then obviously it ended up beat Northwestern 80-60. Yeah. All right, well, Northwestern guard Boo Buey, say that 10 times. So Boo Buey, I put it on all caps so I wouldn't mispronounce it. Tough opponent, high scorer, also an unselfish player. So he's tallying many assists. How did you prepare for a jack of all trades player like him? I know you've seen him before.
Yeah, he's a really talented player. He could really score the ball in bunches, and I think he's up there in Big Ten leaderboard in assists as well. So he's just a dynamic playmaker. He does a lot for their team where he plays a lot of minutes. He's kind of runs the show for them, but he's really good off of ball screens where he's able to, hit the roll man, be ready to shoot off of those pick and roll situations. And Coach Collins at Northwestern does a lot of great sets for him to kind of get free, get open, get some space where he's able to either get downhill, he has a great step back three, and he showed that when we played against them, and he was able to kind of go on a run by himself and make some threes. But he kind of runs the show, like I said. I think he's a great player, and he's going to continue to have a successful career wherever after.
Both you and Travion played much better games. You had 22 points on the night. It's incredible. He had 12. When you knew you were having a good night, did you find Williams and everyone else trying to get to you for those good looks when you were hot on the arc?
Yeah, definitely. I think my teammates do a great job of finding me in open space where I'm able to, get open shots that I feel comfortable shooting. And, like you said, like Travion, he does such a great job of trying to find others that sometimes he forgets about himself, that he needs to score a lot. So he's one of the great leaders on our team where he's he really he's the heart and soul of our team. He gives us a lot of energy. He gives us a lot of motivation. And when I see him starting to play well, it gives me a lot of energy. It makes me want to do better. So he, once my teammates find me in rhythm and where I'm able to start making shots early, I think they continue to try to go back to the well, try to find me in open space. And Eric Hunter did a great job of finding me in transition a few times in the first half. And we ran some good sets where I was able to get some good open looks. And, my first three of the game, Mason Gillis did a good job of, getting a loose ball, and I was able to hit open threes. So just little things like that. My teammates, making the extra effort where, I'm the one scoring on the, scoring the basket or whatever it may be, but they're really doing all the work. I'm just kind of just stepping in the shot. So I owe it to them,
I was going to say, I think you mentioned a couple podcasts ago that Coach Painter even said, Travion, just shoot it, because he is so unselfish and wants to help you guys out so much. Well, you tallied your fourth 20-point game of the season, making a season-best 6 3-pointers. Congratulations. That's a huge accomplishment there. When you first started off as a redshirt freshman, the first time you walked into Mackey Arena, did you think you were going to be putting up stats like that? Did you ever imagine that?
No, never. No, to be honest. I said when I first committed here, I'd be happy with myself playing like 5 minutes in a game. I never really expected myself to play at all, to be honest. When I got here, I wasn't a very good player. There was a lot of areas that I struggled in where, I just didn't know if I had the talent to play at this level and to play here at this university. So, seeing myself progress throughout my time here, and a lot of players and coaches and other people within our staff really helping me just improve every year and get better in a lot of different areas. And from my senior year to see some of these benefits that I've had of working hard, it's been really rewarding. So hearing stats like that, or hearing that I'm up there on the career 3-point made and stuff like that, it's very humbling, and it's a cool experience. And like I said, I never really thought that I would be up there, no doubt. So it's cool.
I think that's another reason why people love sports so much, is because you see an athlete transform from when they're a freshman, 18 years old, to you now, a graduate student, and putting up numbers like that. I mean, your team is ranked number 1 in the country. It's truly an amazing accomplishment. Well, looking ahead, there's a couple difficult games you have this week. Iowa, Purdue at Iowa City. Go ahead and hitting the road again. I know you guys don't have much of a break.
Yeah.
So travel to Iowa on Thursday for a Hawkeyes rematch. The last time you saw the Hawkeyes, they left West Lafayette with a 77-70 loss. But Keegan Murray was out of the game. He had an injury. His brother Chris took over, put up 12 points. This time you'll see Keegan in Iowa City. He's back and ready to go. He can do plenty of damage on the court. What makes those Murray brothers such a threat out there on the floor?
Yeah, obviously Keegan, I think he's, if he's not the leading scorer in the country, I think he's second or third or whatever he may be, but he's definitely up there. And he's a great player. He's really, he's really improved from last year. I thought he was a great player last year, but obviously he's stepped up into a bigger role where he's able to score more, have a lot more opportunities, play a lot more minutes. And, obviously he was hurt that first game that we played him. And, but he's great. I actually really like his game. I think he's going to be a great NBA player, next year whenever he decides to go. But he has a lot for their team. He's able to shoot the ball. He gets in the post and he's able to make some quick moves. He's very fast, athletic. I think he's a great player, and his brother as well. His brother's really stepped up this year, where he's able to knock down open threes. Same, being aggressive on the offensive side of the floor, athletic. They play very similar, obviously, and they're twins and everything like that. But no, they're great players, and they've really both stepped up into bigger roles this year, made a really big positive impact for them, and that's why they're having a great year so far.
Hawkeyes shots only 27.9% from the field in their loss to Rutgers, but managed to only lose by 2 points, even with that shooting percentage. What does this say about their defensive schemes that they're running and how powerful they are on that side of the ball?
Yeah, they they really just challenge us on that side of the floor where we struggled. I thought we really played well in that first half, and then going into that second half of that game. They started to press us, and we just made careless turnovers, and we weren't really getting into what we wanted to do on the offensive side of the floor. And they got long athletes that run the top of their press zone and half court zone and their man-to-man coverage. But they're a good defensive team. They take a lot of teams out of what they want to do on that side of the floor, and just really try to make things chaotic and everything like that, and make you turn the ball over, take bad shots. And they did that to us, and they were able to get back into the game. So just for us, making sure that we take care of the ball, get good quality shots, and execute what we want to on the offensive side of the floor. I think we're going to be okay.
That's on Thursday. We talked about how quick the turnaround is. On Sunday, you will be back at home, Ohio State. We'll touch very briefly on this, but they're coming off a week break and will play Minnesota this week if all goes well, if everyone stays healthy. Head to Mackey Arena to play you guys on Sunday, okay? Last time you saw the Buckeyes was March 12th, 2021, so it's been a long time. Last season, they won 87-78 in OT. EJ Liddell is going to be at Mackey. What's the best part of his game? Because he's the talk of that team.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously player of the year candidate and probably front runner right now. And he's a great player. Obviously, I played against him a while in this league, but he's one of those dynamic big men. He's very similar to Keegan Murray actually in that sense, where he's able to knock down threes, spread the floor, really good in the post. He hits a lot of fadeaway, tough shots. And then the defensive end of the floor, he's a great rim protector, blocks a lot of shots, and he's just kind of that the engine for their team and what makes them go. So if you're able to just kind of contain him, keep him in check, not let him get a game where he gets really comfortable in his shot making abilities and everything like that. Hopefully you can walk away with a win. But they got a lot of great players. They're a great team. Coach Holtman is one of the best in the country, I think, and he's going to be a great great coach in this league for a long time. So I have a lot of respect for them.
Before I let you go and get some sleep, I want to ask one last question. Are there any other games you have circled and starred on the calendar, that second Indiana rematch, or do you just treat every game the same?
Yeah, that's the thing that we always talk about within the Big Ten season is the next game is always the most important one. And, you try not to look too far ahead at certain games because, Big Ten season's a grind, and it really is a gauntlet where you just have to focus on one game at a time. But yeah, there's obviously certain big games that you're focused on. Our 2 games this week that you talked about, I think these are huge for us, and that I always love that Sunday morning CBS game that we're going to be able to play against Ohio State. It's always one of my favorite games to watch. So now if I'm it's a cool thing to be able to play in it and hopefully get a win.
Well, best of luck to you this week. Quick turnaround. I hope you get out of here, get some sleep,
Yeah,
get
thank
rested up. And thank you so much to our audience tonight, those both online and in person. Thank you so much for being here. All right, Sasha, go home and get some sleep, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. I appreciate it.